Mic test 1 2. 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 Mic test 1 2.
Good afternoon. We're going to begin with our recognitions this evening. Today, we have two students that will be recognized from the Trinity University Upward Bound program. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the program and then I'll have them come up. So during the school year, the participants completed academic courses on Trinity University campus, focused at their grade level to support them in their high school classroom. Along with taking classes, they participated in numerous colleges, cultural and community service field trips. Highlights of the college field trips included Texas State University, the University of Texas at Austin, and Texas A&M University College Station. Participants also had the opportunity to give back to their community by volunteering at Sam's Ministries and the San Antonio Food Bank. In partnership with UIW's HEB School of Business and Administration and Jefferson Bank, participants learned theories and practices of investment management by simulation through an interactive and competitive trading experience. Through this competition, Jefferson Bank awarded their top 3 stock investors with scholarships. Trinity's University Upward Bound program has served students from Edgewood and Harlandale since 1980. Upward Bound aims to increase the rate at which first-generation low socioeconomic students graduate from high school and enroll in and graduate from college. So today, we have first place winner, Julian Gutierrez from McCollum High School, and he received a $500 scholarship. Representatives from Trinity Upward Bound program is Gabriela Ortiz and also Director Alexandra.
Congratulations,
Congratulations, man.
Juju. Good, how are you, ma'am?
And that concludes our recognitions for the evening.
Mic test 1, 2. No, yeah, it's not us.
page. An electronic copy of the agenda packet may be accessed at the Harlandale ISD website under the school board /board book page prior to the meeting. The board may go into closed session on any agenda item and permitted under chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code. In such event, the board president will announce the applicable government code section prior to the board going into closed session. Item number 1, the thought of the day and the Pledge of Allegiance. Ms. Mariana.
Good evening, and we can have all rise. Today we have students Alexandra Melanie Vasquez and Montserrat Trevino from STEM Early College High School, as well as our principal, Sands.
Honra a la bandera de Texas. Te juro lealtad a ti, Texas. Un estado ante Dios, único e indivisible.
Good evening, Mr. Board President Moreno, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Soto, Harlandale community and guests. Welcome to STEM Early College for tonight's board meeting. I'd like to begin with the thought of the day by Brian Herbert. The capacity to learn is a gift. The ability to learn is a skill. The willingness to learn is a choice. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Moving on to item number 2A, roll call and recording of board members present. If we can go ahead and start the clicker for us, please. Our voting is now open. You can go ahead and close the vote. All right, we do declare a quorum present. Also, we'd like to recognize we have Dr. Castleberry here joining us as well. Welcome him. Moving on to item C, recording of superintendent and staff members present. Mr. Soto, please.
Yes, Mr. Chair, Board of Trustees, HISD Community. This evening, we have our Executive Director of Operations, Dr. Hinojosa.
Here.
We have our Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum Instruction, Ms. Casey.
Here.
We have our Executive Director of Human Resources, Dr. Salinas.
Here.
And we have our Public Information Officer, Mariana Viero.
Here.
Thank you, sir. Moving on to item 3, public comments. We do have one person that has signed up for public comment. Ms. Susan Salinas, if you may join us. And as you know, Ms. Salinas, friendly reminders, we will have it posted up for you up there. There is a minimum time set for you to recognize. So thank you when you're ready.
Thank you. Good evening, board. Superintendent Soto, President Moreno, community, cabinet, and rest of the board members. I'm Susan Salinas, TSA staff. Real quick tonight, you're going to be hearing about this probably next board meeting, but Senate bills, the 88th Texas legislation passed Senate Bill 763, and it's legislation that gives public school districts the option to hire religiously affiliated chaplains to work alongside or replace professional school counselors. Senate Bill 763 does not require this practice of districts, but it does require every district in the state to take a record vote on the matter. We're urging this district to vote no on that policy because it infringes on students and parents' rights and would put Texas children at risk. TSA's positions remain steadfast. Students in need deserve to be counseled by professionals who have proven they are competent to serve the best interests of their charges. Senate Bill 763 does not live up to that standard of care. So when this comes to your attention, we encourage you not to go with chaplains, but continue to support our professional counselors and social workers here in this district. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. That was the only speaker, so thank you for joining us. We are moving on to the next item, which is for announcements. Ms. Mariana.
Good evening again. Tonight I want to show you the ADA update. I don't know if you can see it. If you need me to read it out loud, let me know, but I want to read it. Okay. The top graph shows last year's percentages. And this year on Monday, which was the first day of school, our enrollment was at 10,890, and we had a pre-K through 12th grade ADA of 100% and a pre-K ADA of 100%. On Tuesday, we had 11,236 enrollment, which means 97.67%, and for pre-K ADA, 97.55%. Wednesday was 11,353. Percentage for pre-K through 12th grade is 96.44%, and then only pre-K 95.85%. On Thursday, we had 11,468 enrollments. Pre-K through 12th grade ADA 95.42%, and pre-K ADA 93.85%. On Friday, we had 11,522 for enrollment. Pre-K through 12th grade ADA 93.87%, and pre-K ADA 90.56%. And then today we had 11,565, pre-K through 12th grade 91.49%, and then pre-K 86.18. Do you need me to read the last year's numbers as well? No, okay.
Oh, is this an opportunity for them to ask questions if needed?
Sure. Yes, sir.
All right. Anyone have any comments or clarification needed? Yes, Mr. Luna.
I just wanted to clarify again as to why do we have differentiate between pre-K to 12 and then just pre-K, and then what's the overall average then of the whole daily attendance for the district?
So the first one, pre-K through 12th grade, includes all of the grades. And then I think it was a request that we only included the pre-K ADA. And so that's why we had done the two separate columns.
So the pre-K AD, pre-K through 12, that's already the average for the whole district then?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thanks.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Ms. Ortiz.
can I just get a hard copy of that? I'm sorry, I don't have an angle where I can see this. Thank you.
Sure. Is that something we can provide, sir?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir. We're included in HH. We include an HH every week.
Anyone else in regards to this? I will say just kind of piggyback off of Ms. Mariana, we appreciate Mr. Soto and y'all providing this with us. I know it's something that's of the most earnest interest for our team. And so we're hopeful that we can continue to see that steadily increase, right, Mr. Soto, with the numbers there. And just to clarify, the pre-K is it's one of the groups that is more likely to miss. So that's why we had them separated. And then the pre-K to 12 is just a total. So they do impact our numbers in a totality type of level. That's why we have it separated by pre-K through 12 and then just pre-K individually. But one thing that I guess would note when talking to Mr. Soto is, unfortunately, at my campus, we already started seeing students getting sick. So that might be the number of why we see a smaller dip versus what we saw at the beginning of the school year. So just kind of be patient and let's see this week or two to see where we end up, because I know there might be some potential students being out due to an illness. So thank you, Ms. Mariana. You can continue. Sorry.
Sure. I just have a few important dates. The voting for Hall of Fame is this Wednesday, August 23rd. Today was the last day to turn in applications. And then the end of the voting is September 22nd. The annual meeting for the Hall of Fame members is September 30th at 9 a.m. at Central Office. And then we do have our HEF Golf Tournament on October 26th at 8 a.m. And that's going to be at Breckenridge Golf Course. And then, of course, our 60th Frontier Bowl, which is November 4th at 7 p.m. here at Memorial Stadium. And that's all I have. I don't know if you have any more questions.
No, thank you for sharing that information, Ms. Mariano. Thank you. Moving on to item 5, information and reports. A, student outcomes GPM 2.3 presentation percentage of second graders reading on grade level or above at the end of year using TPRI, Tejas Lee, and DRA. Mr. Soto, please.
Yes, Mr. Chair, at this time, Ms. Rita Garza will have our presentation. Ms. Rita, push it again.
Okay, thank you. So this afternoon, we're going to talk about the student outcome goals. So second grade reading universal screeners, looking at TPRI, Tejas Lee. And then we're also going to look at the supplemental assessment tool that we have, which is developmental reading assessment, DRA. The student outcome goal 2.3, it was that 69% of second grade students will be reading on grade level or above by the end of the school year. And that's using the TPRI and Tejas Lee data. So we're going to take a look at TPRI and Tejas Lee. TPRI and Tejas Lee provides teachers with a target data on the foundational skills students need to be effective readers. So some of the skills that are assessed are graphophonemic knowledge, word reading, reading accuracy, fluency, and comprehension. So when we look at these 3 components, it really helps to target reading instruction to meet the students' needs. So what you're going to see here is everything that is in yellow is going to be the decoding and fluency. And then what we have in black is going to be the comprehension. So you'll see that at the start of the year BOY, we had 48% students which were decoding and fluency. We did see a 20% increase at the end of the year with 68%. When we looked at comprehension at the beginning of the year, we were at 32. We also saw an increase by the end of the year, looking at 60%, which gave us an increase of 28%. So we had 420 students out of 616 that were decoding on grade level. And we had 370 students out of the 616 that were comprehending on grade level. That data is for our monolingual students. In our dual language classrooms, again, the yellow signifies the decoding and fluency, and the black is our comprehension. So for Tejas Lee, at the beginning of the year, our dual language students were at 59%. We saw a 24% increase, and we ended up at 83% with Tejas Lee at the end of the school year. For comprehension at the beginning of the year, we were at 24%. We saw a 41% increase in comprehension, and we ended the school year at 65%. So that was 184 students out of 215 that were decoding on grade level, and 120 students out of 205 comprehending on grade level. So overall, when we combine the English and Spanish, the goal was 69% of students will be reading on or above grade level. We had 76% of Harlandale ISD second graders decoding at grade level. And we had 63% of Harlandale ISD second graders comprehending at grade level. The next tool we're going to talk about is the supplemental assessment, which is the developmental reading assessment, or DRA. The DRA offers teachers the tools they need to observe and document students' reading levels, and it also helps to inform their instruction. So it's used as an assessment tool to provide additional information to provide the guide that teachers need for small group instruction during guided reading. This data also helps to target reading instruction with specific needs. So combining the data that we're getting for TPRI and Tejasle, we combine that with the information we're getting from DRA to really make sure that we're meeting the needs of students. So again, the end of the year goal was that 69% of second graders would be reading on grade level. So here's what the 22-23 data looks like. So at the start of the year, we had 26% of students reading on grade level. We saw an increase in the middle of the year, jumping to 37%, and we ended the school year at 44%. So we saw an 18% increase from beginning to end of the year. So that was a total of 601 students that were tested, and 270 of those students were reading on grade level. That's for our monolingual classrooms. In our dual language second grade classrooms, we also see the growth made throughout the year. We had 40% of students at the beginning of the year reading on grade level, and we jumped to 47% middle of the year. End of the year, our percentage was 52. So we saw a 12% increase from beginning of the year to end of the year. So that was 110 students that were reading on grade level out of the 209. I wanted to share with you just a comparison from where we were in 2022 to 2023. So we have a small increase, but it's an increase. So in 2022, at the end of the year, we had 42% of students reading on grade level. In 2023, we're looking at 44% of students reading on grade level. So there was that small increase.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, if you don't mind, ma'am. Yes,
Yes.
Ms. Cavazos?
Ms. Garza, I have a question. That graph right there, when you said compared to 2022 and 2023, is that of all students or just second grade? All
Just second grade.
Okay, thank you very much.
For dual language in 2022, we had 48% of students reading on grade level. In 2023, we were at 52%. So again, we're seeing some increases. Just to share some of the support that we are giving teachers, that tier 1 support is last school year, I held reading language arts cohorts where teachers were able to come, and we talked about the next unit. We really took a deep dive into the standards and modeled what some of those lessons could look like to help get a better understanding and build the teacher clarity. We also I have a reading language arts customized professional development where teachers can go on the menu and request specific trainings that they feel they need. Campus administrators can also look into the PD menu and select trainings they feel their campus teachers need, or some trends that they're seeing that we could come in and work together. I also had planning sessions with teachers as they reached out, or campuses. There was also models done for teachers on the balanced literacy components as teachers or campuses requested. There was a couple of campuses that reached out for a guided reading cycle during a PLC, our professional learning community. So that was also done. Working closely with multi-classroom leaders and instructional coaches, we met a couple of times throughout the year to build their content knowledge. And then teachers have resources at the palm of their hands. They have guided reading videos to help them build their students' reading levels. There's also unit planning guide that really gives teachers more in-depth information as far as what's coming up in their unit. We have word study resources to build those foundational skills. We have Newsela, which provides that comprehension piece for our teachers. We also have Learning A to Z, which is a supplemental resource for the guided reading leveled readers. And last year, 2 years ago, we were awarded a Learning Dynamic Decodable books that were given to us for kinder and first. So we also have that for our teachers to be using in our lower grades. As far as administration, the support that they get is classroom walks. We love to walk with them. We look at trends that we see on their campuses, and we talk about next steps and provide feedback to teachers. As the content coordinators, we've also provided critical component support to help give them their clarity that they need to and become stronger leaders. And they also have the opportunity to request any professional development they feel they need for their campuses. And then the request also for guided reading, where we can come in and really cycle the guided reading cycle through the PLC with a specific grade level. So that was some of the things that were done for tier 1. I will share with you what we have done for RTI, Tier 2 and Tier 3. So I know our RTI team has monthly RTI meetings where they talk about content, they do modeling, and they're really looking and analyzing data. They also take part in RTI meetings that campuses have, so they're in attendance there. They have coaching of RTI teachers, so they provide that additional support for RTI teachers on campus. They have ongoing classroom walks where they provide feedback and they look over trends that are occurring on a monthly basis. The support that the RTI team is giving for classroom teachers is professional development. So some of the things that they did last year was really focusing in on what do classroom teachers need to do during RTI. So one of the trainings that they had was, or a couple that they had was on phonological awareness, phonics, vocabulary, fluency, and comprehension. They guided teachers through the scaffolding, the modeling, and then the RTI material that was available for them. They also were able to walk away with many of the resources that they were talked about. Some specific products that we have for professional development is Renaissance, Freckle, UFLI Foundations, and PLC support requested by campus administrators as they need, and then providing that when it comes to the universal screeners and how to use your data. The RTI team also supported administrators along with some walks that administrators requested. They debriefed and decided on next steps for trends that they saw across their campus. They went into grade levels and individual teacher support. They also always welcome administrators to join any professional development they're hosting for their teachers. And they, excuse me, just working with administrators to really read the data and making sure that they're highlighting those specific needs that teachers might need. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Garza. Dr. Casper?
I'm wondering what will be the most significant difference that's coming year from what you did last year for support for teachers and administrators? What's new for this coming year?
So one of the things that looking at the data at the end of the school year is that I noticed that students are doing very well when it comes to the skills on TPRI. So it's that transfer then that we're missing when it comes to DRA, because they've got those skills according to TPRI. So now making that transfer. So during their word study, making sure that they have decodable sentences that we're looking at. There was over 140 teachers at the back to school that joined the guided reading professional development that we had. So making sure to go back and look to see who needs that additional support, giving those reminders of the guided reading videos that we have. Making sure that teachers are also utilizing the Learning Dynamic decodable books that we have. Those are very successful when K1 and 2 teachers use them. So making sure that they have that available.
Okay, any other questions related to it? And I know, Mr. Soto, if you can just kind of maybe elaborate. I know a lot of these items take technology, right? They're technology-based supports when it comes to the programming, right? We do have the necessary technology to support them.
I think at this time, the only two things that are technology is going to be News ELA. So teachers can, they can put it in their Google Classroom for a digital. They could also print it. Learning A to Z also has a digital platform as well as the ability for teachers to go in and print. So at this point, we have kind of the best of both worlds.
Fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. Anyone else, any comments, clarifications, or suggestions or concerns to share? Okay. Thank you, Ms. Garza, for presenting, and thank you for providing that insight.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to item 6 is consent. There are items A through M. If someone would like to make a motion in regards to these items that were discussed at the work session.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Ms. Ortiz.
I move that we approve consent items 6A through 6M. Do I need to clarify A through M? Do I have to say each letter or?
No, I think we're fine, right, Mr. Resendez?
Yep, we're fine, as long as we're not
Second.
taking anything out. Yep.
This a second by Ms. Carrillo. Thank you. I'm sure there's no discussion at this point. We can go ahead and, yes, Ms. Cavazos?
If I may, I
Yes,
just,
ma'am, of course.
I should have asked this at Wednesday's meeting, so I truly apologize, but it did not occur to me until right now, if I may. And Mr. Soto, on agenda item, a consent item B, when it talks about the Autism Treatment Center, it says it's funded through the general fund, which may be reimbursed from federal grant funds if awarded. Have we in the past been awarded grants for an autism treatment center, or is this a first?
Good question. If you remember the other, we have another student that we're also servicing outside the district. We ended up getting about 65,000, more or less, Miss Casey. And so we have been awarded grants before. And hopefully we do get some reimbursed on this.
Thank you, Mr. Soto. And my apologies. I should have asked that on Wednesday. My apologies.
So any other comments, concerns, or clarification needed? And I guess I know one part too, we want to again echo the support that we've been receiving from our bond steering committee. So thank you guys for doing your part in supporting us with that venture. So we're going to go ahead and call for the vote, and we can pull that up. Voting is open. All right, we can close the vote. All right, motion carries. We can move on to the next item, which is individual items. We're going to go to 7A, which is consider and take appropriate action to adopt a resolution fixing and levying ad valorem taxes for the Harlandale Independent School District for the year 2023 and directing the assessment and collection thereof. I can go ahead and make the motion. And that's it right here, sir, right? Yes. Okay, just clarifying that. Thank you, sir. I move that the property tax rate be increased by the adoption of a tax rate of 1.2575, which is effectively a 13.74% increase in the tax rate. Do I have a second on this item?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Carrillo. Any comments, concerns, or clarification needed prior to going to the vote?
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir, Mr. Soto.
Unfortunately, Mr. Hernandez could not make it today, but we do want to reiterate that if you see on your board book where it says the tax rate does not increase the frozen levy amount of those 65 and over, the average taxable value is 99,927 on a market value residence of 178,549. What you stated is what we have to say, but there is not a tax increase. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you, sir, for clarifying that for our team and for our community. Anyone else have any comments, concerns, or clarification needed? All right. If that's not the case, then can we go ahead and call for the vote on this item?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Mr. Ortiz.
would you be so kind to reread the motion, please?
Sure. So the motion on the floor is I move that the property tax rate be increased by the adoption of a tax rate of 1.2575, which is effectively a 13.74% increase in the tax rate, which was seconded by Ms. Carrillo. Yes, ma'am. All right, vote is now open. All right, we can close the vote, please. All right, the motion carries. Moving on to item 7B, consider and take appropriate action to approve Zurich American Insurance Company as the district's property insurance for a term of 1 year effective September 1st, 2023 at a cost of $786,120 funding from the general fund. And I know, I guess before we make the motion, should we have Ms. Jackson come up here, Mr. Soto?
Yes, Mr. Chair, for any clarifying points, and she does have a worksheet handed to you guys with some bullet points stapled.
All right, thank you, Ms. Jackson. Then please approach the podium.
Good evening. Again, my name is Beverly Jackson. I'm the benefits coordinator for Harlandale ISD. And last week at the workshop, I presented coverage proposals to renew our property insurance for this coming 2023-2024 year. You all have this information in front of you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Ms. Cavazos.
Ms. Jackson, good evening. I just have a couple of questions. And just for clarification, we went out to 30 different companies and only got the response of one.
Correct.
My second question is, we only use one insurance broker and not attempt to use two others to see if their result would be the same?
So for the past 2 years, we have maintained with Zurich as our one and only insurance provider. This year, they consecutively decreased the coverage amounts and increased the premium. So this year, for our third year renewal, we submitted a request for renewal with them, and they came back at 50 million property, which last year was 250 million. This year, 10 million wind and hail. Last year, it was 25 million wind and hail. When we received the information from this one carrier that we have utilized in the past, the time was rather short, and I did include that on the second page of your handout so that you could see how much time there was. It was a difficult thing because insurance carriers were holding on to their numbers until the very last minute. And so as soon as the information was made available, I made everyone aware of it.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. And I have one last question. On this particular carrier, every year we do a renewal, or is it a 2-year renewal?
This is our third year renewal out
So-
of 3 years.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. No more
you.
questions. Thank you.
All right. Any other comments, concerns, or clarification needed from Ms. Jackson? And again, thank you, Ms. Jackson. I know the last time it was kind of at the mercy of technology and having an individual that was not with us in person to field some of these questions or concerns. But thank you for providing that context. You did it in a very expedited type of way that night. And so I'm sure our team was able to garner some information that they needed to get clarification on. Anyone else have any comments, concerns, or clarification needed? Mr. Soto?
Mr. Chair. Dr. Salinas, at this time, do we want to let the board know that we're leaning towards going out for brokerage coverages for an RFQ?
That is correct, sir. This is our last year of our third year renewal with this company, and we'll be going out for an RFQ or RFP for the following year for 24-25.
Mr. Resendez, would they have to vote on that or just vote on?
They don't have to vote on actually going out for the RFQ, but when we come back and approve who you
Approve.
select, that's what then they'll approve that.
Thank you,
Yes,
sir.
Thank you, Mr. Soto, for providing that insight, and Dr. Salinas. Anyone else? Ms. Ortiz?
So, Mr. Soto, I have a question. So when we go out for and ask for these RFPs or RFQs, does it necessarily mean that we have to select one singular broker? Is that what we're doing? Or, I mean, are we outside the norm? The RFP, the RFQ means you can only select one. You can't have two vying for our services, for our business, if you will. Mr. Soto, I don't know.
No, we would, I'm sorry, we would receive multiple bids, and we would have to evaluate each one individually and do a comparative analysis.
But my question is that from that analysis, can you only select one broker?
I'm sorry, I don't have the answer to that.
You know, Mr. Ben Mora was here, our purchasing manager, but Mr. Resendez, if you correct me if I'm wrong, it's usually a 2-step process. We end up getting bids, we end up ranking them, and then we choose one to bring to the board.
Yeah, generally the district will have one, but I hear what you're saying. Can we have like 2 brokers going out to market? But I think we will have to talk to them, but my understanding is they're gonna go after the same people and try to get the same insurance companies to give you the insurance, but I'll find out if you get more than one broker. Cause I don't know if that'll help or not, but I'll find out. Yeah, I'll see. I think legally you probably can, but I don't know if it's the practice of school districts to have more than one broker. Like having two real estate brokers or two real estate agents working for you. I hear what you're saying. You want to have two insurance brokers out there looking for the best rates. Is that what you're thinking?
Yes, that's the only reason. I mean, because we're not talking in terms of hundreds of thousands. We're talking in terms of millions.
Sure.
And so that's why I asked.
I'll find out. Yes, ma'am.
All right, I know that's, Mr. Resendez is going to be able to research that for us as a team. And again, thank you, Ms. Jackson. I know some of these things were at the mercy of the market. And unfortunately, there's been some significant issues that have occurred that have altered or revised some of these numbers that we were waiting to the last minute to get. So at this point, anyone wants to go forward with making a motion?
Mr. Chair.
Okay, Mr. Luna, please.
Yeah, I move to approve Zurich American Insurance Company as the district's property insurance for a term of 1 year effective September 1st, 2023 at a cost of $786,120. The funding coming from the general fund.
All right, we have a motion said by Mr. Luna. Ms. Cavazos, did you want to second that?
Yes, I'll second that. Thank you.
Okay. Any further comments, concerns, or clarification needed? Okay, if that's the case, thank you, guys. We can go ahead and call for the vote. All right, go ahead and close it, sir. All right, so motion does carry. Moving on to item C, 7C, discussion of possible action regarding ratification of approval for utility work right-of-way request being 0.224 of 1 acre tract of land out of lot 1, block 2, new city block 7464, being at Harlandale Memorial Stadium subdivision, Harlandale Memorial Stadium, from CPS Energy. CPS, Mr. Soto, please.
Yes, Mr. Chair, at this time I have Dr. Hinojosa give you the background on this item.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Soto. Mr. Chair and members of the board. So for this particular item, it's on page 68 of the board book. If you look at page 69 of your board book, it'll show an illustration. So basically what this is what asks for ratification of an agreement, right-of-way agreement with CPS. Prior to the renovations, the previous existing transformer that provided the electrical power for the stadium was not going to be enough or sufficient enough to be able to power the press box, the locker rooms, the new lights, and the scoreboard. So we had to replace the transformer with a newer, more modern transformer that had the capacity to be able to be better equipped to be able to provide the power for that facility. So this particular right-of-way agreement is with CPS. If you look on page 69 of your board book, where the little yellow box is, that's where the transformer was needed to put in. It was a time-sensitive matter, so we did bring this to Mr. Soto. So not to delay the construction process, the transformer was put in place inside that yellow box where the old locker room was. And so that is basically what this is asking for, is just to ratify that agreement, to be able to allow CPS, if there's ever any maintenance or anything they needed to do to the transformer, to be able to have access to that area.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Soto?
Mr. Chair, Board of Trustees, just talking to our legal counsel, and I spoke to our board president. It came to my desk Friday, and if I didn't sign, it was Friday, Dr. Hinojosa? And if I didn't sign it Friday, it would hold back. They would not be able to do any work Friday, Saturday, nor today, and they would have to wait till Tuesday for the board to approve to continue work. So there would have been a standstill of 3 days of construction. And so running it by Mr. Moreno and legal, this is the course of action that we needed to, is for it to be a ratification, because I signed it on Friday.
All right, thank you, Mr. Soto, for clarifying that and sharing insight into the item. Any other comments, concerns, or questions, Ms. Ortiz?
Yes, since it's a ratification, do we have the amount that this is costing? the cost of the ratification?
It's at no cost to the district.
And just to be legal, we have to say $1.
All right, great. Thank you for those clarifying questions. Anything further? Any comments, concerns, or clarification else needed?
Mr. Chair, I have a question.
Yes, Ms. Booth.
Why did we choose this specific position to put it to the location?
The decision, once we met with CPS, they provided the location that was going to best fit with the existing power. So if you look on that photo on that 93rd Street that runs across, there's some existing power that they could actually tap into with the new service. If we would have put it on the back end where it was originally planned, which was on the other side of the locker room, it would have been at a much higher cost. So that was the most cost-effective position. Plus, it also was able to bring in some of the power that was already coming in from Apollo Street and 93rd.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments, concerns, or clarification needed? All right. So can someone make a motion?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Ms. Ortiz.
I move that we approve the ratification for utility work right-of-way requests being 0.224 of 1 acre tract of land out of Lot 1, Block 2, New City Block 7464, being at Harlandale Memorial Stadium Subdivision, Harlandale Memorial Stadium from CPS Energy.
All right, great. We have a motion. Do we have a second for the item?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Cavazos. No further discussion needed. We can go ahead and go to the vote, please. All right, go ahead and close the vote first, please. Motion carries. Moving on to item 7D, consider and take appropriate action on the approval of staff recommendation for the front entrance of McCollum High School close and the Harlandale High School concession and restroom renovations at an approximate cost of 2.5 million as part of the bond 2022 steering committee recommendations for the bond 2022 Prop A General Facilities Phase 1. Mr. Soto, please.
Yes, Mr. Chair, at this time, Dr. Hinojosa will present.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Soto. Members of the board, as we discussed at the work session and we brought the options forward from having had discussion with staff based on the recommendations from the steering committee, we did take the direction from Mr. Soto, and we were able to meet after the work session with some of the members of the steering committee, and we were able to make a couple of modifications, or a particular modification. If you were to look on page 73 of the on your board book, the real change on that would be that the option that we'll discuss is a recommendation from staff that it did total out 2.5 million. I believe it was a little bit less in the work session. If you were to look at page 74 of your board book, the change that was made to that after discussion with the steering committee is the recommendation was still to move forward with recommending the front entrance or the front elevation of McCollum, which would be that closed entrance that would be more of a reception area as the students or community members were to walk into campus. The one thing that I do want to point out, and it was discussed at the steering committee, I didn't make a very strong point of this when we met on Wednesday, is the last statement at the bottom. So these are renderings, and it was with some discussion with the architects, but this is by no means the final design of the front entrance. So as we mentioned last week as well, we had some staff changes in administration. So those individuals that are the new administrators at McCollum have not been a part of this conversation as of yet. But moving forward, this is a preliminary design phase, so it doesn't necessarily mean that this is the way it has to look. We will certainly take stakeholder discussion as we move forward with the design phase. But by going with this option, the change that was made would be to move forward with the recommendation of having the restrooms at Harlandale High School, athletic fields, and the concession stand to be that would take up the remaining balance. And so the amount of these projects, that would be the recommendation that we're putting forward today is to accept this particular rendering or this particular option where we will provide a closed entrance to the front of McCollum and then also be able to provide a restroom and concession stand facilities at Harlandale High School's athletic field.
All right, thank you, sir, for providing those clarifying points. Any comments, concerns, or clarification, further clarification needed? Yes, Ms. Ortiz?
Dr. Hinojosa, has there been any consideration for a restroom at McCollum High School football? Because we're doing the Harlandale High School concession and restroom renovation, but it says renovation. And I know that there's no restroom facilities at the McCollum High School.
Right. So the renovation at McCollum High School would be, we have had discussion to answer your question. Yes, ma'am. We've had discussion as to the best scenario, I guess, since we do have the restrooms at the softball field. And so whether it's how we're going to tie into that or create new ones. So there's some challenges that are posed with McCollum. And so just because of the survey and of the land, but those are discussions that we've had. Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you for sharing that, sir. Ms. Ortiz. All right, any further questions, Ms. Ortiz, on that item?
No, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Anyone else have any comments, concerns, or clarifying? Yes, sir, Mr. Nun.
We're going to do basically on this first round, we're doing the McCollum front. I don't know which one we're gonna do, the encased or not encased, and the Harlandale High School renovations. So we're in a sense putting the other recommendations on hold till 2025.
What's that? Excuse me?
The
sir?
other
The
recommendation.
other recommendation, the other, all the recommendations that were on the steering committees will be options that we will review with the next issuance. So it either 2024, 2025.
Okay, thank you.
All right, sir. Thank you for clarifying that, Dr. Nosa. Any other comments, concerns, or clarifying points needed? All right, so if that's the case, can we have someone make a motion?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Ms. Carrillo.
I make the motion to approve I make the motion of the approval of staff recommendation for the front entrance of McCollum High School closed and the Harlandale High School concession and restroom renovations at approximate cost of 2.5 million as a part of the bond 2022 steering committee recommendations for the bond 2022 Prop A General Facilities Phase 1.
All right, thank you. Do we have a second on that item?
I'll second,
Second by Ms. Cavazos.
but I just have one quick question.
Sure, ma'am, go right ahead.
And just because it's been brought to my attention from several community members, and Dr. Hinojosa, if you could please clarify. The reason why we can't just renovate and fix and build everything at the same time is because we have to wait for bond money to be issued. There's a time frame and a timeline. So we don't get all the money that the voters, approved. We do get it in a process of a timeline and a time frame. Correct?
Yes, ma'am, that's exactly right. And if you look on page 73 of the board book, the second and the remaining issuance will be listed there, but you're exactly right. We don't get all of the money at one time.
Thank you. I just wanted it to be on the record because I say that and I want just to get confirmation from the experts. Thank you, Dr. Hinojosa. I'm sorry.
Mr. Chair.
Sure, go right ahead.
And if you
Mr.
keep reading that, Board of Trustees, it's based on our ADA. And so you see that 10,250.
Okay, so any other comments, concerns, or clarifying points needed? All right, if that's the case, we do have the motion presented by Ms. Carrillo and second by Ms. Cavazos. Can we go ahead and call for the vote on the item, please? Voting is open. We can go ahead and close the vote, please. Motion carries. Once again, we'd like to thank the bond steering committee for for doing the hard work. So thank you, guys. All right, so continuing on to move my item E, discussion and possible action regarding approval of board governance coach. So in this respect, I know, I guess, should I just take the lead on that, Mr. Soto? So obviously, it's a team of 8, in particular, this team of 7. So we were presented with different presentation or given different presentations throughout the last couple of months. I don't know if anyone would like to make a recommendation. If not, I can go forward and make a motion.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
for clarification purposes, are we voting on one of the 3 presenters? I assumed we only had one to consider.
There's 3 that we were presented with, so there is a potential to consider one of the others. If not, we can certainly consider the gentleman that was presenting last week at the board work session. Or Dr. Casper, I'm sorry.
I thought that I made a case for not considering the first 2. That was my intent. If I was not clear about that, that was my intent. So I think what you're considering tonight is a go or no go with the person that you heard last week.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that, Dr. Castleberry. With that being the case, Mr. Resendez, did you have something to share?
Yeah, just the motion to approve, if that's what the board desires to do, this particular consultant, just remember it'll be subject to finalizing fees and costs, because we didn't talk about that, but it's okay. He's a consultant professional, so we'll first choose him and then negotiate that as well. But that'll be brought back to the board for you guys to consider, and I think my understanding is he'll want, if he's selected, he's going to want to talk to the team to get a better idea of what the costs and fees will look like to so you could budget and plan. That's my understanding.
Okay.
So we're not designating a certain amount of money yet, but we're just selecting him to negotiate those fees and costs if he's selected.
So I can go ahead and just make a motion and just approve a board governance coach,
Correct.
like a
Yep.
blanket
But
statement.
then keep in mind, we'll come back to you with the agreement in writing, what the
Okay.
fees and costs are.
So I'll make a motion to approve Mr. Ricardo Alvarado for board governance coach consultant with the contract to be announced later, or
Yeah, at a future date and time. Yeah.
at a future
fees and
date or time?
costs.
Okay, so that's the motion. Do we have a second?
I will second.
All right, a second by Ms. Carrillo. Any concerns, comments, or clarification needed?
I do have a couple of questions.
Sure, Ms. Ruiz.
Well, for sure one. So because this is my first time dealing with a governance coach, is it one program broken up into different levels, or is it, hey, this is only 6 to 8 months, or how does that get decided, how long he stays with us?
That's, Mr. Chair.
Sure. So the practice has been, it's an ongoing practice for us as a team to just consider different methods and different ways of how to get better. I don't know, Ms. Cavazos, if you wanted to also kind of lean on your experience on what the role of the governance coach is to provide us an avenue of what is our lane and what isn't.
Thank you, Mr. Moreno. Thank you for that. I'm flattered. In the past, our coach has been dedicated to effectively and efficiently, I want to say the word coach, but instill in us the importance of being a school board member. The importance of being a school board member, acknowledging accountability and what the true role is. There's an assumption in every district, in many districts, of what is the ability, the authority, and the capability of board members. Although very broad in some areas, our role is just to stay in our lane. And that's a whole thing of what we can do, what we govern over, what we have authority and decision-making on. This is just me. The hardest thing I believe that board members go through in every district is coming into this role and realizing, oh, it's not what I thought it was. It's not what is expected of me, and it's not what I am here to do when I took that oath. I'm going to take the opportunity to say that I don't know Mr. Alvarado. He presented to us. I'm not quite certain that he may or may not be the best for us. That's just my personal opinion. I am certainly for us learning what our role is. Can I have one more minute? Thank you. What I am certainly very interested to learn what our role is. It's the role that they have been attempting to teach us since I came on board in 2019. How long does it take a board to learn its roles and responsibilities? I would think not 4 years. I've been here 4 years, and some of us have been here longer. Maybe we haven't had the one coach that can lead this team to just certainly adapt, accept, and be accountable for what we said we were going to do when we came into this. We don't want to go round and round on a template. We did that before and it just led us to nowhere. So maybe a la carte is the best menu for this particular board. Thank you, Mr. Moreno.
Thank you, ma'am. And just to kind of echo, the idea is we will have more of a ownership in this partnership and this collaboration. And I think that's something that will be beneficial for our team to have a role in conjunction with Dr. Castleberry and the coach to find a way to finesse as Ms. Cavazos alluded to, what can be best for our team and different parts. And we have different frameworks that we're already doing extremely well. And we're not needing to reinvent the wheel, but we're going to be able to harness a lot of the strengths of our team to benefit our community and in particular our students in district. So I think the optimism that we should share is exciting, and it's something that we should really hone in on, because that's something that can really benefit the team of not just 7, but 8, and in conjunction with Dr. Castleberry. So those are just things that we can kind of go kind of align with, and it's going to be something that we're all going to be new to this experience because it's a new person. So it's not going to be just you on an island, by no means. So it will be a team of 8 that will be working together collaboratively. Anyone else have any comments, concerns, or clarification needed on this item? All right, so we have a motion, we have a second. We're going to go ahead and call for the vote. All right, we can go ahead and close. All right, motion carries. We'll look forward to working with Mr. Alvarado, and I'm sure Mr. Resendez will put these items together so we can formulate the negotiations. Okay, moving on to item 8, convening closed session as authorized by the Texas Government Code, Chapter 551, Sections 551.071 through 551.084. Do we have a motion?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Mr. Luna.
I move to convene in closed session as authorized by the Texas Government Code, Chapter 551, Sections 551.071 through 551.084.
All right, do we have a second for the items?
I'll second.
All right, thank you, Ms. Carrillo. So we have a motion and it is second. We can go ahead and call for the vote, please. Vote is open. We can go ahead and close. 7:17, and we are in closed session. Good evening, everybody. We are back now in session. It's 9:08 PM. Item 8A, discussion, take possible action on recommended regular personal report. No action, right, Mr. Soto?
Correct, sir.
Okay, item B, discussion consultation regarding with attorney regarding board member duties, roles, and responsibility. No action needed. So move on to item 9 or item 10,
Mr.
adjourn.
Chair, I
Yes,
move
Ms.
to
Carrillo.
adjourn.
Motion by Ms. Carrillo. Do we have a second?
In a second.
A second by Mr. Luna to adjourn. Obviously, we can move to the vote. I don't think there'll be any discussion. Sorry. Vote is open. All right, we can close the vote. All right, motion carries. It is now 9:09 and we have convened. We have adjourned. Thank you.